So the school holidays are, so to speak, here, and parents might be asking, okay, cool, so what do we do now with our kids? Yes, it's time for them to relax a little bit, but screen time is one of the things that come into play, and we need to monitor that as parents. So this morning we have our parent coach, Laura Markovitz, back with us this morning to talk about screen time. Laura, lovely to have you.
Thank you, good to be here.
Why is it so important to kind of think about the amount of screen time? So yes, maybe you've been doing very well as a parent and you've managed your screen time, and now it's holidays and now you're like, I can relax.
Yeah, I mean, it is so tempting, I say this as a parent, to just, it's holiday time, let the kids just completely veg out, do what they want to do, for us to relax. Some parents are still working, so they kind of think, well, my kids need to be occupied, so let them just be on the screens the whole time. And I think we kind of know intuitively that if they're on the screens for too long, there are repercussions to that. So I think it's important that we need to be thinking about it and not just going into holiday time and letting it all go.
Exactly. So let's talk about those repercussions, those negative effects of having too much screen time.
Yeah. So I think it's important to also, before we even go there, is to not demonize screens. So we've got to know they're not bad things. I think there's incredible creativity and it's absolutely fine to have a bit of downtime and to be watching a bit of screens and gaming and all that sort of stuff. It's got a lot to give us and connect us with people, but too much of it, as we said earlier, is not a good thing. And if kids are sitting on screens for endless amounts of hours, the repercussions are that they tend to lose the ability to connect with other people, and those important developmental aspects like cognitive development, social skills, all those sort of things kind of take a sideline if we're just sitting there vegging out. We also tend to be doing a lot of things unconsciously. So eating in front of the TV, there's a lot of, you know, just not really thinking about things.
So you're not living in that moment.
Yeah, you're not living in the moment. You tend to miss out on a lot of things. So tend to go on long car journeys or bus journeys, just hand a kid a screen. There's no looking out the window and seeing where we actually are. And then we all know that our kids are generally pretty irritable and uncooperative after long periods of screen time.
Absolutely.
And more worryingly is that we're seeing high levels of depression and anxiety, particularly in teens, when they are spending too much time on screen. So it's incredibly important to be thoughtful about it.
When we're talking about screen time, obviously there's different variations of it. There's learning-based programs as well. Is it the same thing? Let's say you're learning a language via watching something on an app on a TV, or you are playing FIFA. The two. So how do you measure that then in terms of what's good and what's not good?
And I call those sort of things those parental conundrums, because it's like now I'm sitting there thinking, I'm not meant to be letting them be on the screen, but now they're doing something incredibly creative, like making a movie. And I think it's just to be thoughtful about it. The reality is, if we're sitting on a screen for a long time, we're inactive, we're not moving about, we're not interacting with people, we're not having the social skills. So just to be thoughtful about it, even if it is learning a language, not sitting there for hours doing that.
Exactly.
So to move around and to be doing other things as well.
And we're also not talking about, making sure that you keep your kids occupied all the time and away from screens. I mean, we don't want it. And you say that sometimes we should encourage boredom. Yeah?
I think boredom is great. I think we've got to be so careful of worrying about the big B word. Our kids we are bored, and we go into this panicked Pied Piper mode of thinking, I've got to whip out all the fanfare and create something. From boredom often comes amazing things. And if we leave our children to be bored sometimes, they get a bit of stillness. They get to think. They get to lie there and think about things. They get to create things. They get to suddenly think, well, got to get up and do things, make things, without it's just being there and sitting there without much thought and doing.
Just be bored. Just be bored for a little bit. It's good for you. It's good for you. But here's the thing. Technology advances so very quickly. I mean, Google rolled out this app apparently at helping parents set and enforce digital ground rules. And I feel like, wow, that's like literally taking the power away from the parents and now all of a sudden getting involved in a different way in terms of technology. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think boundaries around screen time is important. I think as a family, it's so important.
But from a parent's side of view,
exactly. So it's so important for us as a starting point to be thinking about how we can build trust amongst our kids. I have parents coming and saying, we can't even leave the iPad lying around because my kids just grab it. Well, they've got to know they can't do that.
Exactly.
It can't happen all the time. And they've got to be seeing that we're not doing it all the time as well. We've got to be role modeling that as well. So I said those kinds of apps, rely on them as a last kind of resort, but rather be putting the boundaries in place at home, on your own.
Exactly.
Things like not keeping the phone or the iPad in the room when the kids go to sleep. Keep that as a rule during the holidays as well. No screens at the table while we are eating.
Absolutely.
Keep those things going. Google's not going to be there helping you at the dinner table as much as it's trying.
Exactly. If you're out and there's no Wi-Fi, Google's not going to be there. But I always say when it comes to these kind of things and managing your screen time with your children healthily, just trust your gut. As a parent, you'll know when something doesn't feel right, or certainly I can feel that. If my kid's been sitting there too long, I can start feeling like, we need to do something or so just trust your gut.
Absolutely. I think it's a good guide to be going with, and we do know, we see it. So, trust your gut and think it through. I think to be thoughtful around this is important and find a bit of balance.
Star advice this morning. Thank you very, very much. Hey, go out there and just take care of your kids, but most importantly, just enjoy the holiday and the time that you get to spend with your children.